we're here with Hunter Hayes on the tour bus. This is amazing. Thank you for having us up on your bus. Appreciate
Absolutely,
that.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to Hunter about, I got to meet you for the first time when you came, I guess it was maybe almost a year and a half ago now that you were here. And you played an acoustic set for us with Steve Holy at the Track Shack. And it was, I mean, people wanted tickets to this thing so bad. I remember they were just really, it was an amazing contest. And for you to come and do that. How have things changed for you since then?
In so many ways. It's an excellent question because everything's changed. I mean, it's been one thing after another. Watching Storm Warning kind of do what it did and introduce. It was kind of my introduction. It was my shaking hands with everybody and saying, "Hi, I'm Hunter. I hope you like my stuff." You know. And then Wanted, the one that everybody told me would be kind of the one that really kind of got things rolling for me. It actually did that. And you never know what to expect, especially with the second single. I mean, it's like, how am I supposed to know what's going on? And what's been crazy is the response from Wanted has been overwhelming. I mean, obviously, with it going #1, I'm seeing at shows, people are just singing along, but the coolest thing is they're singing along to songs that are not like, they're just like off the album, which is really cool to me, and just, I don't know, just the overall perception of things, the overall perspective it's given me, kind of being now, finally getting to move into a bus, and we've got a truck full of stuff now. It's going from, we were in a van and a trailer for a while to this. It's like, it's awesome.
And it must be for you, because I know you work on an album sort of all at the same time, and you do all those songs. So you're sitting on these songs, and then when we play, I'm a DJ for the station, so when we play it, and then it's kind of new to the listeners unless they have the album. So for you, I always wondered how that was. It's like my new single. It's like, well, no, actually, I've had it for a long time. And now you, with your album, extra special, I think, you played every instrument on this album. How did that happen?
I did. Well, it's just the way I've worked for a long time. It's just the only way I kind of know how to work, as ridiculous as that sounds. It's the way I did my demos. It's the way I had to do my demos, because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have the money. I didn't have people around to help me. I was kind of on my own,
You can really tell too, because when somebody's very talented like you are, it just so comes across. It does.
Well, it's a great thing because I got to be involved with all the parts of the creation process, or writing the song. I got to write it myself. I got to write everything on the record, which was really cool. Brave for my label to let me do that, but they gave me the opportunity, and we pulled it off, and making the record that way, I'm involved with all these different aspects, and it just helps me to get my voice out. I think if I'd have been sitting across the glass from, these pro musicians, I would not have talked about arrangements. I would not have talked about, lyrical changes. I would have not been involved in the process at all. I would have been so detached, and I just gone in and sang my song. I think being able to do it the way I did allowed me to get my voice, good or bad, allowed me to get my voice across and just kind of, see this record out the way I've always dreamed it would sound.
Now, see, I have to imagine that is going to launch you into a long career. It's interesting. I've been in this business for quite some time, and we watch artists come and go. They're hot for a while, but you can really tell the ones who are maybe going to stick around, or the ones who care about trying to stick around, by the things like you just said. I think, I hear at the age of 4 is when you sort of got into things, when your grandma gave you an accordion. Okay, so you started to play at a young age, and like you said, you went into making demos. Are you hoping for the future? Is this something you want to stick with, be a Barry Manilow someday, like that kind of, like Garth Brooks, who's always going to be in the music scene in some way?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. For one, it's because I can't live without it. I had somebody ask me, when do you consider yourself sort of like peaked? When do you consider yourself sort of done? When have you gotten to that point where you're going to be happy? And I'm like, that's never going to happen. Because even once I get to the point where right now that I can see as my goal, I want to headline, stadiums for several nights at a time, do crazy stuff like that. I think even once we get to that point, it's like I'm going to say, okay, now what? All right, well, let's go reinvent, let's go rethink. That's my favorite artists. They reinvent themselves, they rethink, they become, every person as a person evolves, and I think your art should do the same thing. And because I honestly can't live without it, I can't take a break and say, well, I'm going to get away from it for a while. That's miserable. That's absolutely miserable for me. My best thing to do is to go into a different form of the music. And, when I get sick of the sort of road thing, I go in the back and I start writing again. And it kind of reminds me of what I love about it, and then I get back into it again. It's just cycles. And I think that's healthy, and that's why I love it, and that's why I'm obsessed with it, and that's why I'm a complete nerd.
No, you're an artist. I mean, really. So when you were little then, you played the accordion, and you got to, at a very young age, be involved with some very big people. So tell me a little bit just about how that, what was that like, and then how did it launch you into demo writing into where you are now?
I think the coolest thing about being, young and getting to work with these guys, these legends, these guys that are so, pro and they've been doing it for so long. I think the coolest thing about it is that it sort of taught me, I don't know, it sort of showed me that it was a possibility. It wasn't a fantasy. Music wasn't sort of a dream job. It was just another option.
And you met like Hank Williams Jr. Right, and June and Johnny Cash, and so you were with these people, and they're real people.
These legends, and I didn't know how much of a legend they were, so I just saw them as people making music.
Sure.
Which was good for me at that point, because it kind of decided for me what I wanted to do. Which is critical.
And then, so you went into making demos, and then how did that translate to you coming to Nashville and sort of everything exploding? Because, like I said, I don't think it was much past when we met you the first time when you were here that you were just sort of, I mean, who's Hunter Hayes? I remember taking your picture and your CD home to my daughter, and I said, hey, you got to check this out. And she and I love Storm Warning. That was one of our favorite songs, and still is. It's in our car all the time. So how did that happen? Like what was the thing that happened that just launched you into Nashville, and now here you are? I mean, you're about ready to headline.
I think I don't know. I always felt like I needed to go to Nashville. That's the hub for what I love. For what I wanted to do, what I've always wanted to do. That's where everybody I look up to is or was at some point. And I knew that was sort of the business central for my goal, my dream, and that was to be on radio and to do this and to get to open for people like this or to get to headline,
Yeah, why not?
And I had this friend that kept saying you need to go, and then I think when I was like 13 or 14, we started taking trips, which turned into meetings with at first it was Universal Publishing. Right, it's for a songwriting deal, and then on the other side of the sort of business spectrum, it was Atlantic for my record deal, and so we started negotiating both of those. Moved to Nashville, took school, all that good stuff, and I don't know, it just felt right. It was weird because my family's not a family that like moves on a whim like that.
Yeah,
we don't
what do
make.
Parents do? I mean, they're not musicians.
Yeah, well, they both have day jobs, and it's both. My mom's a teacher, and my dad does all kinds of stuff. So it's like it was a very quick move for a family that doesn't make quick moves, which made me feel like it was supposed to happen. The fact that everything lined up into place the way it did, my deal came together, all of my deals came together within like a 2-year process, which is unheard of. I mean, I can't believe that when I think about it. But it lined up so well, it sort of was a sign for me. It was sort of said, this is what's supposed to happen, just let it happen.
I'm a big believer in that too, I really am.
Yeah.
So